a very mysterious man this man was. A man which was even tried to be killed by some of the things which will kill a normal man or will kill an entire village, but this particular man will survive. And most of the people used to fear this man and deemed him to be a very mysterious figure or a person sent by God, or he had some supernatural powers. But you cannot blame them, because if you try to kill somebody with cyanide, and this cyanide can be able to kill even an entire village, and this person just doesn't die, then you will think that this man comes from another planet, because the normal cyanide can kill anybody. Who was this person which was not being killed by cyanide or any other types of deaths that many people planned for him, and used to do so many things which were not on the normal things which people do. It was an orthodox style of doing. He had an orthodox style of doing his own things, and that's why he is referred to the most mysterious man in the world. And also he had influenced so much to the royal family, and also to what you see right now in the world. He's the one who has influenced it. He has even led to influencing what we see today in the world. Like what we see in Russia today being headed by a president, not by an empire. It was all by the power of this particular person, which we'll be talking today. And I'll be explaining to you how his fate was linked to the empire, and also the family during that time, the royal family during that time. And this particular person was a person who also helped the during he helped the empire during that time. And also he was very resourceful, because he claimed to have some healing powers where they were used by the during that time the royal family to heal their son, because their son had some particular disease which needed so much attention, and this man came to the rescue. And today we'll be talking about none other than Gregory Rasputin. This is a particular person which there's a song which has been made out of his character, which was sung by a person called Bunny M. And this song just simply explains how Rasputin was. He was a lover of the Russian queen. So today's story is going to be about this particular person, and I'll be telling you how he was able to become famous and some of the things which he used to do. And also I'll be telling you why many people liked him and why so many people were attracted to him. And this is the story of Rasputin. Rasputin was born in Russia in the year of 1869, and he was born in a poor family where at the age of around 18 over there, I think there were 7 children born out of that family, but only Rasputin was able to survive until adulthood. And that's where now he was able to get married. And at the age of around 18, he had three children, and these 3 children, he had to take care of them. And during this time, Rasputin was getting also into trouble with the law, and also he was a drunkard, and he used to like a lot of women. So he was also a womanizer. And that's when now later on in the years, there's something which happened to his life during the 1897, where he decided to go to a particular pilgrimage, to go to a particular journey where he'll be able to go to a particular monastery, and in that monastery he will be able to learn some things. And this particular journey is the journey which changed his life, and it is the journey which many people believe gave him those superpowers which they thought he had. And when he went to this particular journey, he came back as a holy man, claiming that he has powers and claiming that he can do so many things like healing the people. And that's when now he went onto a journey of sleeping with a lot of women so that he could get powers, and also that he claimed that when the women slept with him, the women will be able to be forgiven by God, and they will be able to accepted by God. It was a way of repentance and also accepting to God. That was the religion of this particular man. So when years went by, the news of this particular man was spreading all over, because one of the things, he didn't bathe, and he was very charming, and most people believed that he had a very huge size dick, and that's why a lot of women were accepting his charms because he was satisfying them. And during the years, he got even more famous. He didn't shower. He was walking around with a very stinky smell, and many people claim that he had superpowers. And some of the things which he had adopted of this particular religion of his, they were similar to a particular religion which were taking part into orgies where they will have sex with multiple partners at once. And this was very similar to what Rasputin was offering to people and to girls also. And this, he became even more famous because he was very charming, and also he will get into any girl's dress if he wanted to. And during this particular period, he was walking all over Russia, spreading his word, and also many people were knowing this man, and he was becoming even more famous. And there was a particular case where he went into a jungle or a wilderness in Serbia, and he was able to, people claim that he had healed some people in that particular wilderness in Serbia. So after these claims were out and also spreading to everybody, this was the same time when Rasputin was able to be traveling and also looking for other regions where he could spread and also be known further. That's when now he went to St. Petersburg. This is the capital city where the royal family was living at that time. And after going to this particular capital city, he started mingling with high-end people because many people were wanted to be associated with him or see what other people were saying it was true. If he had superpowers, if this particular person wasn't bathing, if he could please women very well. So most of the people wanted to find out, and also women were lining on their way to just sleep with this man so that they can be forgiven by God or they can be accepted by God, because Rasputin was a person which believed that in a particular any type of religion, for you to be forgiven and also for you to be religious, you have to understand what is the meaning of sin. This was the how Rasputin put it out, and this also gave him a lot of immunity against sin, and that's why he was able to practice so many sexual intercourse with so many girls without even having that second thought or being conscious asking him, because he claimed that he understood what he wanted and also what this sexual interest will lead to his life. That's when now he was climbing ranks in the years of 1905 over there, and many people were spreading the news about this particular Rasputin, and that's when now he was meeting with generals and also other important people in Russia, and that's when now he was able to meet with a particular person which was the Tsar of Russia. And this Tsar of Russia was able now to sit with Rasputin and discuss what will happen to him, and also what was his some of his abilities, because at the end of the day the news was spreading like a wildfire, and many people were discussing about this particular person called Rasputin with his magical powers. And the Tsar wanting to meet this particular person was because of one thing: the Tsar heir to that particular kingdom, because the Tsar was the king and also was the emperor of Russia. So the Tsar wanting to meet Rasputin was because of a reason. His son and only son was sick with a particular disease called hemophilia, and hemophilia was a deadly disease during that time, leave alone nowadays where hemophilia can be treated. During that time it was very deadly, and it was a death sentence for anybody which will have this particular disease. And that was the reason why this particular Tsar was meeting with Rasputin. And after he met with Rasputin, they were discussing how he will be able to heal the son of his, because he was the only son of this particular emperor. And if he will be able to heal the son, it will be also an advantage to the whole community of Russia, because this was the second heir of the Russian Empire. So Rasputin was started being so close with the Russian royal family, and he now started getting his way inside the Russian family and also being so close with them, and all, even to a point where he will be able to influence what happens in that Russian family. Because most of the things, and one of the doctors said that there's a particular case where Rasputin was able to come when the boy was very fatally sick, and he was able to spit on the boy, and after spitting on the boy was came back to be good and into good health. And this was one of the things which now led to the royal family believing that Rasputin is a religious man and also he has healing power. And there was a particular incident which happened later on in the years where this particular Rasputin had to travel into Serbia to meet, to go and just to go and do his own adventures. And when he went to Serbia during that time, he was away. And when he was away, the boy was very sick because he had some internal bleeding where when he was traveling, I think it was in a bumpy road where it led him to have some internal bleeding. And during that time, the boy became very sick, and many people believed that the boy will be dead. And also, it reached to a particular point where during that time, the royal family had also issued letters to say that that particular boy called Alexia is dead, and all hope was lost on this particular boy. And also, even the doctors were believing that the boy was dead. And that's when now the wife to the Tsar decided to send a letter to Rasputin and told Rasputin that the boy is very dead, and if you could do something just to pray for the boy wherever he is. And that's when now Rasputin decided to send back a letter to the Russian queen and told her that the boy will be fine if you just decide to put away all the doctors which are with the boy and just reduce the medications which he uses. And this was very odd, and it was one of the things which, if you will tell any person right today that you should not take medication, the person will refuse, because medication was the only way which you will be able to get well. And also, the doctors said it. Why do you believe another person where the doctors have said you should take medication? And that's now the odd thing about this particular woman. She was able to listen to Rasputin and told the doctors to stay away from the child, and the doctors were banned from visiting the child or seeing the child. And after they did this, the child went back to the normal health which he had, and even he became more healthy. And this was a very shocking to people. And even until today, we don't know how some of the things which Rasputin used to do so that he can be able to perform these miracles, and also how he was able to heal so many people like it was said. And one of the reasons and also claims which led to people today saying that they were the reasons which Rasputin was able to heal that boy is that during that time the doctors were giving the boy a particular medication which was called aspirin. Aspirin during that time was the normal medication, and it was the common one. If anybody gets sick with any type of disease, you're given aspirin. If anyone has an headache, you're given the aspirin medicine. If anyone has a foot ache, you're given the aspirin medicine. So it was a very common thing which doctors were given during that time. And until later on in the years in 1960, in the 1960s, remember this was during the 1910s over there. Later on in the 1960s, it is when it was discovered that the aspirin was a particular medicine which makes the blood thinner, and it was very crucial if a person which has hemophilia will be able to take. If a person has hemophilia and takes aspirin, this will lead to more chances of him dying with blood loss. And hemophilia was just a case of blood loss. If you get hemophilia, you'll be able to just bleed there's so much amount of blood will come out of you, and they won't be able to stop this. That's the condition of hemophilia. So during that time, when Rasputin told the doctors to stay away from the boy, this also would have led to the boy becoming well, because he wasn't being given this particular medicine anymore, the aspirin medicine. And this will also be one of the reasons which the boy got well. If it's not that one, then it is maybe the boy had some, Rasputin had some psychological or some mystic powers which led to the boy to become well. But we don't know. It's either that, either the medicine part, or either Rasputin had some powers. And also him being able to calm the mother and also leading to a friendly environment for the boy will be also one reason why the boy was able to get well. And after the boy getting well, now they were fully into what Rasputin said, and they now started believing everything that Rasputin said. When Rasputin came back to that particular place in Russia, and now the royal family started putting Rasputin as a very superior person, and they even gave Rasputin a particular title which was called the lamp holder. And this particular title, he will be able to be ahead of other people, and he was also influencing a lot of things, like any person which will be appointed or any person which will be fired, he will also be influencing this much, and also other activities which were taking place in the Russian country. And that's when now Rasputin started taking the advantage by sleeping with women in the Russian Empire, in the Russian castle. In that Russian castle, he even slept with the nuns and also the mistress, which were the responsible for taking care of the children. And most of the people were claiming that if Rasputin wouldn't sleep with you, he will threaten you, blackmail you, or he will rape you. Any of this, he will just use it to get into your dress. And that's when now Rasputin, being who he was and being the type of figure which he is, most of the time when a particular person comes with a claim that Rasputin did something to that particular person, the person will be dismissed or the person will be fired. And this reached to a point where Rasputin was very head and he was controlling most of the things. And this reached at a pinnacle later on in the years, where Rasputin had went to meet and also to visit his wife. And when he was visiting his wife, there was a particular woman which stabbed Rasputin, and this particular woman was claiming that Rasputin was the Antichrist. And after stabbing Rasputin, this particular stab wound will be very fatal to a normal human being, but Rasputin was able to recover to this particular stab wound. Although he went to a coma for almost a week, he was able to recover this particular stab wound. And after recovering, that's when now his top powers of pinnacle, his top powers into the Russian family was reaching at its peak. And during this time, it's when now the World War One was starting, and the Tsar of the Russian Empire had to go to fight and also lead the army in fighting Germany, because Germany wanted to attack and also wanted to invade the Russian Empire. So the Tsar had to go and to leave his wife as the head of that particular empire. And after leaving the wife, this was very critical, because that's when now Rasputin took this as an advantage and went to meet with the wife, and now started producing his charms and also being able to seduce the wife into many other things, where the wife will be able to appoint ministers, and also he will be able to demote ministers. Any type of ministers which Rasputin didn't like, he'll be able to influence the wife into changing them. And also the Russian Empire, he had so much say in the Russian Empire through the wife of the Tsar of the Russian Empire. He had so many say, and most of the things which were happening were as a result of him being the one which was saying for it to be happening. And that's when now many people started becoming wary of Rasputin and also his behaviors, because he seemed untouchable, and most of the times he was very rude. And that's when now people started plotting for Rasputin, for him to be killed or he will be eliminated, because this will save the Russian Empire, and this is what they had believed. And one thing the Rasputin had told the Tsar family and also the Romanov family, that if anything happens to him, the Romanov family will be able to be extinct. So they had to be careful with Rasputin because their future and Rasputin were linked together. And that's when now later on in the years, during 1914, 1915 over there was a particular three members of people now decided to kill Rasputin. And one of that particular person which decided to kill Rasputin was the cousin of the Tsar and also the husband of the niece, which was married to the niece of the Tsar. And the other person was a politician. And these three people now decided to kill Rasputin. And they did this by inviting Rasputin to come to a particular dinner. In this dinner, they served Rasputin with cakes which were put with cyanide, and these cakes later on he was to accompany these particular cakes with tea. And after serving put Rasputin this particular cake and also tea filled with cyanide, Rasputin was just taking and also eating these cakes like any normal type of cake, although they were poisoned, and this poison will kill anybody in less than even 5 minutes. But Rasputin wasn't even full enough. He said he needed more food for on his table, and that's when now they decided to add him more cakes, and those cakes were also filled with more cyanide. But Rasputin behaved like there was nothing wrong with him, and the that particular cyanide was not working on him. And even he reached to a point where he asked for more wine for him to drink so that he can be able to wash the cakes inside the body. And that's when now they produced more wine which was laced with more cyanide. And after giving it to Rasputin, Rasputin took it normal and he didn't die. And till today, many people are asking themselves questions: how was this possible that Rasputin was not able to die? And one of the most common and also most which looks has to have more evidence is that Rasputin was eating a lot of garlics each and every day, and the garlic has sulfur, and sulfur can be able to do away with the poisonous gases and also poisonous things which the cyanide produces. And sulfur which is in the garlic can be able to counterattack the particular poison in the body where a person is poisoned by cyanide. And this is one of the claims which how Rasputin was able to survive this particular thing. And after that, these people saw that Rasputin isn't dying. Now they decided to shoot Rasputin in the chest. And after shooting Rasputin on the chest, now they saw that Rasputin is dead and he was lying down. When they went back to make sure that everything was fine, coming back, they saw that Rasputin is back alive and he punched one of them. And after punching one of them, that person started running away, and Rasputin was following him up on his back, running after him. And that's when now they decided to put an end to all of this. They shot Rasputin on the head. And after shooting Rasputin on the head, that's when now he dropped down dead. And they were in much disbelief because these particular things which they had done will kill any type of person, even on the first attempt. But Rasputin was a particular person which just coming back and coming back without even dying. And that's when now they started bumping on the body to see if the body is really dead. And they found out that Rasputin is really dead. And that's now when they decided to dump that particular body into a river where it was found later on the second day. And after finding this body, it was a very sad moment for most of the people, and other people it was a happy moment that this particular monster had gotten away from their lives. And during this time, after Rasputin's death, the royal family and also during that time, there were so much clashes in the royal family, and also Russia had so many clashes where most of the people didn't like how the royal family was ruling them. And this led to a lot of wars, which led to the royal family being disbanded later on in the years, where they now decided the people's power will go to back to the people, not the royal family, because also in the battlefield the Tsar was leading the men into losses. They had occurred so many losses in the battlefield that they were even tired of it, and this was a way down for the Russian citizens because so much resources were taken away from them. So this is the story of Rasputin, and I hope you like what Rasputin is and what he did and what type of man he is. And if you want more stories like this, please come back to this channel. And one thing, please, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I'll really appreciate. Till I meet you next.